Good morning, everyone. It is another day over here at Brinq. Today is Tuesday. I know I haven't seen you guys for maybe 3 days now. Mainly, I have just been super focused on getting a lot of work done for this project. So I haven't been spending a lot of time doing stuff that is actually like interesting to the channel. So I just haven't really recorded it. But today we are going to be doing a lot of at-home stuff, but I have some time set on my schedule to be able to work on our SOP that we've been working on, as well as we are going to start kind of practicing, I guess you could say, the stage of the pre-construction where we do the in-person meeting after the initial appointments. The first thing that we have to do is go to the scrap yard because I have a bunch of stuff I gotta get out of my truck and I'm just gonna scrap it all, so at least we don't, put the stuff to a landfill. I'd rather take that and actually turn it into some sort of money that we can obviously use in the business. So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting all the stuff loaded in my truck for scrap. I'm gonna go to the scrap yard, drop all that off, and then when we get back, we're gonna start getting on some of these tasks. So we just finished up at the scrap yard. I'm back. It took about an hour, 45 minutes. I'm going to quickly answer some emails, get my day set up. All right, guys, sorry for obviously, well, you guys won't really know the difference, but it's been quite a few hours now. We're already at 11:41, and I have been working on a lot of project tasks, but I am now working on the system. So pretty much to kind of give you guys a rundown, what I want to do this week is I want to show you guys kind of what I bring to not only just my job sites on a day-to-day basis, but also what I'm going to bring to estimate appointments, to design consultations, and everything like that. And especially now that we have this whole SOP or the system that we're trying to build, having a list of items I should have on me at all times, make sure I'm always going to be prepared for these type of appointments. So with that being said, there are some things that we did add to our arsenal, and there is some software that we also added to our arsenal, which I need to work on this week. Okay, so we're going to run a practice test, as you may, on this new design system that I'm trying to come up with to kind of help the customer with coming up with our final designs. I really want to have detailed drawings for all of our projects, and unfortunately getting a drafter sometimes can be too expensive for a customer. So I'm going to try to offer the service myself, which will make it much cheaper. So what we're going to basically do is do an example of kind of what the design consultation is going to be like, but as me doing it to myself in my own home. We're going to use our new software that we purchased, which is basically a CAD software. It's called Chief Architect. And what I'm going to do is I have a system kind of set up. I've done a lot of research and thinking about this, and I have a system where I kind of want to like go room by room, getting the measurements, coming back and inputting it. But obviously I want to be able to do some sort of design consultation with the customer prior to me going and making these drawings, because who knows how long it may take. So with that being said, my first idea is let's start with almost making a rough design, like a quick drag and drop design of what the house is going to look like, and then we'll do our design consultation, and then I'll go back and get the exact measurements. I'm probably going to start with filling out all the details when it comes to, because they have this system where you could basically plan your space, and it basically asks you questions like, how many floors, how many garages, how many bedrooms, etc., etc. So I'm going to quickly fill out all that information, and then it will automatically plop in some standard sizes for those rooms, and we'll go from there. Okay, and just like that, I have pretty much imported some standard sizes for everything that's going on in our house. What I'm going to quickly do is kind of organize this in the way our house looks, and then I'm also going to make some adjustments if I have to, just rough ideas of what the size of some things are, because obviously our kitchen might be a lot bigger than what they say is the standards. Okay, so this is kind of like the house design. I have it pretty much laid out how it is. The sizes are completely inaccurate to probably what it actually is, but at least I have something here to kind of have an idea. So now from here, I have to decide how I'm gonna kind of approach the next step, because as much as yes, I could just sit down with the customer and we can look at this and point fingers, like sometimes, fixtures, locations and stuff like that do matter. So we have the drawing completed, we have everything kind of laid out, and I went ahead and built the house. So technically there is a house here now. It's not just like planned. I'm pretty sure I can go into the 3D view. Yeah, so there you go. So there's our little house. It's not exactly accurate, but at least it's something. Look how many roofs I have, goddamn. So now at this point, what I would probably do is I would most likely have this drawing in some way that I could just sit down with the customer and we can go through like their plan and what they want to do, and we can almost like sketch it up. All right, let me think about this. I actually went back and made some changes because I wanted to add doors and windows, just rough locations, as well as a little bit of layout changes. You hear my printer going in the background because I am now printing it out like I would on a job site. The other thing too, just to keep in mind, is I am writing down all the steps that I'm taking to get to this point, so that way I can easily go back and, you know, make an SOP out of it, because if I just do everything, you know, first time, I may not remember how I did it. So I'd rather write the steps down now and then go back and refine those steps to be more accurate or, you know, descriptive. So we have our drawing, and I'm just kind of thinking about how to go about doing this kind of like documentation / getting their ideas. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a sheet template, like a Google Sheet, in our case Zoho sheet, and I'm going to basically have like preset templates for each type of room, so kitchens, bathrooms, just bedrooms, closets, all that kind of stuff. And then what I'll do is when I'm doing the appointment, I'm gonna have all these options that we go through, and then I can relate it back to this drawing by putting, let's say, you know, a 1. If there's multiple bathrooms, I can label one bathroom 1 and bathroom 2, and I could just add in that number here. I can build the Google Sheet almost as like a database for that project, so I can have material selections, I can have all that kind of stuff all in this one document, so then I can always go back to this as like a reference if I ever need to know something. I'm also going to have a section on this document that says existing finishes, so that I can also document what's currently there. Definitely going to take some time to create this template, but I think it's going to definitely be useful, so I'm going to start getting on that. Alright everybody, we are back. It is another day. I spent a long time yesterday. I was working until about 9:45. I kind of got well, at first I made like a rough draft of how I'm going to kind of do these site visits for the pre-construction phase, but then I actually put it into practice with my partner. I got her to kind of like almost act as if this project, which is obviously our house, I asked her to almost act as if she was a client wanting a renovation. So she basically went through the list of all the different rooms and decided certain things, and I did end up changing it up a little bit, so there's a little bit of chicken scratch on here, but I did change it up a little bit to make it more efficient and more like kind of flow better. So why don't I actually go ahead and first show you guys that system. Okay, so here it is. It's just a Google Sheet, pretty straightforward. Pretty much I'll start a project, I'll copy this template, and I'll click on basic here. This button here would create a new page which looks like this. Pretty much these are separated by different types of trades, and as the customer decides on something that they want, I would then go ahead and pop the code for that room in the proposed section here. So as example, drywall flush vents would be under H1. Now I come back to my drawing here, and I'm gonna automatically set these up, but if you look at H1, it's the hall. So I know in the hall they want a flush drywall vent. Then, if there's any details, notes, or anything like that, I could pop that in here. So included closets in this section here for the vinyl. So pretty much that's kind of what I would first do with the customer. So I'd go in, make this rough design, go through all this, make any like, you know, updates on the plan of what they want done, such as, you know, if they said, oh, I want to change something like the layout, I can actually draw it on there. And then after, I would go through and I would do my internal side here, which is checking if we need to demo it, existing info, so what is there existing. That way it can assist me when it comes to read or actually doing the drawings, or if I'm doing some sort of pricing, I could say, oh, you know, for demo they need to remove tile or they need to remove laminate. So I kind of am able to get that information, and of course I could just use photos, but you know, having this database of all this information may even be easier. Then the next category here is moving. So this is basically asking, is it moving locations or is it staying in the same location? So then that way I know if I need to make an actual change on the drawings of where it's planned to go. And then these are inspection tips. To best kind of explain it is in my process here, I have a historical hiccups checklist review. So technically what this inspection list is going to be is similar to what that historical hiccups list would be. So it's almost like check this so that we don't accidentally get screwed over in terms of price down the line, such as, you know, one thing on here is for flooring, is it a single or double layer removal? In a scenario where it's a double layer removal, that's something I could check by going to a vent, popping it open and seeing what it shows on the side there. So these are things that I can do to kind of prepare myself to make sure that I don't make these mistakes or let things go and then end up costing me more money or the customer a longer project because we didn't expect something. So I have that list there as almost like a baseline of, hey, this is something you should check for everyone's benefit. Now, kind of going back to the first page I had there, which is this one, as I mentioned, basic is basically going to be like everything, like the whole house in a degree. Now, if it's like, oh, we want floors done everywhere, then I would go to basic. But let's say they're like, oh, I want to renovate our kitchen, then I'm clicking on kitchen, and this will make a separate tab that has a separate layout under the kitchen section. There's also bathroom, there's also exterior, there's laundry room, and then there's other. Other is basically a copy of this. So let's say there's one room in specific that has a lot of work being done, such as, let's say the bedroom was being turned into, I don't know, some sort of really special room that required a lot of extra steps compared to all the rest of the rooms. Then I could use the other section, which will then create me its own page for that specific room. And then I have a reference section in the top corner. Can barely see it, but it's that little square right there, which is basically a reference. So you can see here B1, which is for the bathroom. I can use that square in the corner to reference which room I'm talking about, and then I can basically have its own section for just that room in case it gets, you know, a lot more detail, so it doesn't kind of screw up the rest of the form for kind of like the full house work. So I sat down with the customer in this scenario. I got all the information that they needed for the renovation that they want to get done. Technically, if we're following our SOP, that means we have completed our in-person meeting. Permit is not required, so we're doing our layout drawings, which is kind of what we're doing right now. So we've collected our detailed scope of work. Now we're kind of coming back to this section here, which is creating our layout drawings. And then from there, once we have that detailed scope of work, we can finish our layout drawings, and then over here we can generate our scope of work that we'll actually send over to our trades and whatnot. Now, I don't know if I've actually shown you guys this, but obviously I have done a lot of work on, I know you guys saw me create this, but if you're wondering what all these little stars are, so I put red stars next to the items that need work done on it, which, to be honest, at the beginning, the entire thing had red stars pretty much. I put blue stars on items that needed to get worked on but weren't really crucial. And then I put these red stars with blue triangle. I don't know, I just picked a random design as almost like a little reminder, like, hey, this is important, but not as important as the red star items. One thing I also want to mention is obviously this whole like design of basically building the entire house is only on the circumstance that we are doing the whole house. If the customer said, you know, we're just doing a bathroom, I'm not going to design their whole house for them. I'm only going to design the areas that are, you know, important to that actual project. And of course, I'll kind of already know from our initial budget phase and everything, so it's not necessarily like I wouldn't know. But in this case, I'm kind of going with a bigger project so I can prepare myself for these bigger projects, because I think a bathroom would be pretty straightforward. Either way, the next step here, so we've made our basic layout drawings. We have confirmed the scope of work with the customer to a more fine detail. Now our next job is to finalize this drawing and make it a lot more accurate. So I've put a process in place. I'm going to basically be going room to room. I'm going to measure all the items that are within that room. I'm going to draw it onto a piece of paper. Now, obviously, in this scenario, I'm going to be coming back to my computer in my office, but in the field, I'll be having my laptop that I'll go back to, and I'm going to input the details for that room and then go on to the next one. Now, I know that kind of sounds a little bit stupid. Why don't you just bring your laptop as you go and put the measurements in? I definitely can, but it's going to be a lot easier for me to quickly measure an entire room and then go to the laptop. And I also do have a solution on how to make that more efficient in the field, which I can show you guys a little bit later. And what we're creating right now is an as-built drawing. So it basically is showing the house as it is right now. And the reason why, you know, I want to have all the scope of work written down is so that way when I come back to the office, so I don't have to do this in the field. I can spend time designing the new drawings and putting in notes and all that kind of stuff onto the new drawings, which then can be used for the subcontractors as well as the homeowners to be able to confirm designs and everything. As I go ahead and measure the house, I'm going to be using a laser measure, which looks something like this. It basically uses a laser to measure the distance. I'm also going to use a tape measure, which is going to be used for areas where the laser, there's either stuff in the way and the laser can't reach the other wall, or sometimes windows will have, you know, things that are in the way. The only other thing I'm going to do is use this clipboard, and I'm going to use this with a piece of paper, obviously, and a pen to draw out all the room. Good morning, everyone. It is another day. It's actually Friday. I believe the last time you guys saw me would have been on Wednesday when I was working on that plan of my house pretty much, and I spent the entire day making that plan, and I wouldn't necessarily say that's going to be the case for future projects, because a lot of that time that I spent, you know, was a lot of learning, right? There was a lot of times where I was like, I'm not sure how to do this, and I would do some research and I'd have to like figure out how to use the actual software. But pretty much, you know, Wednesday was a write-off from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. It was just literally working on that plan pretty much. One thing that was lovely though is I did not get bothered like pretty much at all the entire time, so it was super good because I could stay focused on the primary objective, which was get that plan created. Then yesterday I had a pretty standard day, not too much interesting stuff going on. I mainly went to a job site to basically meet with some contractors and get a delivery or receive a delivery. I then worked on a bunch of project tasks and then edited this week's video, which I already uploaded, and it's going to be coming out in about an hour. Then this morning I just did some emails, I worked on some project tasks, and then now I'm starting to work on that system again. I want to kind of start getting that moving. Today I do have to go for about 3 hours to go drive to move a vehicle because it's about to get snowy and it's outside. It's my project car. So I have to drive up north to move the vehicle into the garage and then drive all the way back down, literally just to do that, which kind of sucks because that's a very big killer for my time today. But I'm letting traffic die down a bit so I could try to reduce the amount of time I'm driving as much as possible. Okay guys, so we're actually recording my screen here, and as you can see we're obviously in the drawing that we made, and obviously this is my home. Please don't use that against me. This is the drawing that we made. As you can see, I went ahead and did the bedroom design. I added in the electrical in rough locations, as well as switches. Over here, you can see kind of everything. I designed the bathroom as it is. I spent a lot of time doing some things that weren't necessary, but I just kind of wanted to practice with the program, so that's why I spent some extra time. But I could also come here and I could set up a camera view. And you can see we'll actually load up a 3D version where I can kind of go through, and there's the kitchen. Yeah, like I can go through the different rooms. There's, ooh, that's in the wrong position. That should be over here. See, and this is good because I would have never even realized that. There we go. Okay. So with that being said, we kind of have the what we call as built drawings. So we kind of know what this looks like as built, and I can save this, which I already have, as the as built drawing. So you see test project as built. Now the goal would be to kind of do our design. So assuming that the customer has, or I'm now back at the office, and we're going to now kind of change up this plan to the, oh boy, here we go. Okay, we are back. So what I'm going to basically do, well, I don't actually know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of going down the list, but I'm thinking the way I want to do it is I want to have a demo plan, and then I want to try to make like a finished plan, I guess is the best way to put it. I'm going to kind of play around and see what the best option here would be, but I think the best option would be to almost make a plan where everything that's being removed has its own color, and that would be one view, which would be the demo view, and then another view which is going to basically show the electrical maybe, and then maybe one that shows the plumbing. I'm not too sure. I'm going to kind of mess around with it and see what works. But yeah, I'll get back to you guys once I actually have a idea of how I'm going to do it.